Okay, so immediately moving on to the rest of this chapter. So the solar plexus has been likened to the sun of the body because it is the central point of distribution for the energy which the body is constantly generating. Remember how we had just said earlier, our conscious portion relies on the subconscious portion for its energy, because the solar plexus, being part of the subconscious mind, is the central point of distribution for the energy which the body is constantly generating. This energy is a very real energy, and this sun is a very real sun, and the energy is being distributed by very real nerves to all parts of the body, and is thrown off in an atmosphere which envelops the body, which in turn would be our aura. Because we know as we're sending our thoughts and vibrations out into the ether, we're also surrounding ourselves within our own aura by whatever thoughts and feelings and emotions that we are vibrating. Okay, and we in turn are attracting those things into our life by the law of attraction. Just vibrations in general, because the nature of the vibrations correspond with each other, and they pull along and attract each other towards each other, because that's like attracts like in all due respects to everything. If this radiation is sufficiently strong, the person is called magnetic. He is said to have a strong personality. Such a person may wield an immense power for good. His presence alone will often bring comfort to the troubled minds with which he comes in contact. When the solar plexus is in active operation and is radiating life and energy and vitality to every part of the body, excuse me, sorry, I got the hiccups really quick. Okay. Rereading that statement. When the solar plexus is in active operation and is radiating life and energy and vitality to every part of the body and to everyone that we meet, the sensations are pleasant. The body is filled with health, and all with whom we come in contact experience a pleasant sensation. If there is any interruption of this radiation, the sensations are unpleasant. The flow of vitality and energy to some part of the body is stopped, and this is the cause of every ill to the human race, physical, mental, or environmental. And that is one thing that I really want to talk about. The effects of marijuana. Okay, that it blocks you. It blocks that part of your being, that energy, from radiating so much. It stops your solar plexus from radiating so much energy throughout your body, and that is how it interferes with your thinking, because even thoughts, remember, all mental activity, even itself, relies on basic foundations, basic health, basic, meditating every day, doing the things that keep that keep you centered, and when you're doing things as such, you're not exactly being centered, because it scatters your mind forces. Yeah, I know. Any explanation of the phenomena of life must be based on the theory of oneness, the psychic element being found within all living substances. This cosmic intelligence must have existed before living substance could have come into existence, and therefore it exists today all around us, flowing in and through us. Remember how we were talking about this spiritual substance, God, this universal consciousness which permeates, penetrates, and fills everything. Like the space between me and our Chinese horoscopes book is filled with this energy. The space between me and this camera is filled with this energy, because this energy has to be there. This substance has to be in existence, or else there would be no medium for vibrations to travel along. There would be no medium for me to speak and create all these vibrations with my Visuddha chakra, my throat. And as I'm creating these vibrations, I'm changing the atoms and the electrical magnetic currents within this atmosphere in front of me, and these changes are registering along the ether, and is carried along the ether by the law of vibration, or the principle of vibration, and is carried along by your own personal consciousness, and then you in turn hear the sounds and interpret, and you determine exactly what it means to you. Yeah, I know. Pretty interesting, isn't it? This cosmic consciousness projects itself in the form of living substance, and it acts with a conscious intelligence in manufacturing its food supply and evolving organizations on to a higher and higher plane of life. That last sentence basically summed up life itself, and how this cosmic consciousness projects itself in the form of living substance. What do you think this body is? What do you think we are? We are this cosmic intelligence. It says, we are created in the image of likeness of God, and that image is in likeness is in the image of spirit. Our spirit is an exact replica of the universal spirit, just individualized in this personal form. The only difference between us and the universe is one of degree, one of scale. There's only so much. We have everything that the universe has contained within ourselves. And our very awareness is, the consciousness which permeates everything. Your very awareness is the same consciousness, the same awareness as everybody else's. It's just we're simply differentiated in manifesting ourselves in different bodies, because like he's saying, the theory of oneness, everything is connected. We're all one, and behind the mask we wear, you and me, we're the same thing. We're the same spirit, the same substance. Me and you are one. We're only individualized and our own individual entities through this living thing we're expressing ourselves in. And we're forever moving naturally through higher and higher planes of life called evolution. Everybody naturally has the inherent power of increase, personal growth. Everybody wants to do better. Everybody wants to be better. Everybody likes the idea of actually doing that. But the difference between those who actually just think about doing it and those who are actually it is taking action. I'm still learning to take action. Nothing but actions, to use my actions for things more instead of words. Act instead. This cosmic mind is the creative principle of the universe, the divine essence of all things. It is therefore a subconscious activity, and all subconscious activities are governed by the sympathetic nervous system, which is the organ of the subconscious mind. The cosmic mind is the creative principle of the universe, the divine essence of all things. It is therefore a subconscious activity. Because the spiritual life, this being, this cosmic intelligence manifests itself through you, through your subconscious, through your solar plexus. Because as we breathe in this spirit, breathe in this cosmic mind, breathing in this divine essence, it is moving down and traveling to our solar plexus. And the solar plexus is distributing that energy throughout the entire body. No human intelligence has ever accomplished the result which the cosmic intelligence produced in developing a chemical laboratory right within the foundation of plant life and the production of elaborate mechanical devices and harmonious social organizations right within our own bodies, meaning no human intelligence can ever even come to even thinking of how to do that. All this is doing it itself. No human intelligence needs, man, it's something that it does itself that we don't need to focus on, like the beating of our heart. It's a cosmic intelligence that does it for us. In the mineral world, everything is solid and fixed. In the mineral world, such as this rock, it is solid and fixed. This rock, this live rock, could be like this from now and the next 20 years until it is broken. Something happens and it breaks. In the animal and vegetable kingdom, such as what we are, in the plants that, plants and trees and things as such, kingdom is in a state of flux, forever changing, always being created and recreated, because the person we are today is not the same person we were a year ago. It's not the same person we were 6 months ago, because every second we have cells that are millions of cells that are dying, and every second we have millions of cells which are being regenerated. As all these cells die, eventually all of them are going to die off, and eventually every single one of them is going to be replaced. And as all those cells are replaced, and as we're made of those cell entities, it's only factual that everything which we are has been replaced as well. In the atmosphere we find heat, light, and energy. Each realm becomes finer and more spiritual as we pass from the visible to the invisible, from the coarse to the fine, from the low potentiality to the high potentiality. When we reach the invisible, we find energy in its purest and most volatile state. And as the most powerful forces of nature are the invisible forces, so we find that the most powerful forces of man are his invisible forces, his spiritual force. And the only way in which the spiritual force can manifest is through the process of thinking. Because remember, thinking is the one great thing which is going to allow us to create our destiny, to master our environment, to be the captains of our own souls, the master of our own personal universe, our self-aware consciousness. It is thinking. Addition and subtraction are, therefore, spiritual transactions. Reasoning is a spiritual process. Ideas are spiritual conceptions. Questions are spiritual searchlights and logic. And logic, argument, and philosophy are spiritual machinery. Every thought brings into action certain physical tissues, parts of the brain, nerve, or muscle. Remember how we were saying before, how we even learned from the master key system, okay? The brain is nothing but our mechanism of attachment, okay? Like a battery to a machine. The machine is what charges the batteries being the mechanism of attachment to this machine. Likewise with our brain. The brain is the instrument of our mind, As we think, we are setting our mind in motion, and the physical manifestation of the body is our brain cells are being set into activity. Okay, it's a scientific fact that we are literally changing the tissues and structure of our brain simply by how we're thinking. Even listening to music and sound. Sound has a amazing, effect on the consciousness, and sound has the ability, it's science, it changes the structure of your brain, and bringing this certain tissues, that's how you bring things, that's one way of bringing things from the invisible into the visible, from the invisible thought forces that you have into the actual physical manifestation of forming that brain tissue. Your brain is manifesting and forming itself according to the nature of whatever thoughts that you are thinking. This produces an actual physical change in the construction of the tissue. Therefore, it is only necessary to have a certain number of thoughts on a given subject in order to bring about a complete change in your physical organization. Now, I want to go back to auto-suggestion. When you're thinking, when your own self-suggestions, your own affirmations start to become habitual, they become auto-suggestions and your habitual way of thinking, which when it starts to become habitual, that's how you know when you actually built and created that circuit within your own brain. Thoughts of courage, power, and inspiration will eventually take root, and as this takes place, you will see life in a new light. Life will have a new meaning for you. You will be reconstructed and filled with joy, confidence, hope, and energy. You will see opportunities to which you were heretofore blind. You will recognize possibilities which before had no meaning for you. The thoughts with which you have been impregnated are radiated to those around you, and they in turn help you onward and upward. You attract to yourself new associates, and this in turn changes your environment, so that by the simple exercise of thought you change not only yourself, but your environment, circumstances, and conditions. And you do this because we know that thought necessarily precedes actions. You have to first think of the thing before you take action on that certain thing. And we know that thoughts are the things that are going to change things. This live rock is not going to move if I think about it moving. This live rock is only going to move if I think about taking action and moving it. Okay, me thinking about that live rock is not going to make it move. Okay, I have to take the actions, okay, to actually make that live rock move, because the thinking is the force which brings actions into making that live rock move, which in turn is going to change my environment. It's amazing. That's the correspondence between the inner and the outer worlds. The world of thoughts, moods, and feelings, and how we could bring this inner world of what we have, and not only how it works in congruence with the outer world, such as my leather book marker, but also how our thoughts, moods, and feelings are what are responsible for creating the things that are happening in our outer world. These changes are brought about by the psychic element in life. This psychic element is not mechanical because of its power of selection, organization, and direction. Such a power cannot be automatically mechanical. This cosmic intelligence possesses the function of memory for the purpose of recording all the experiences which it encounters and projecting and organizing itself on higher planes of life. For example, meaning you remember the things you've gone through, so you can reflect back on those things. You remember the things that have happened to you, so you can reflect on those past life experiences to not only help you making and encouraging decision making in future references, but so you could also learn more about those situations. Like when you read a book, when you go back and read that book again, you're going to take more out of it. Not because now there's more in the book, because now you're different. You're getting more out of the book because now there's more to you. Just as to where you go back and you revisit some things, you reflect on things that had happened to you. Okay, you're able to see it at a different view now because you're different. And this difference in perception is what's going to help you see more of that situation and get more out of it that you weren't able to get out of before. Okay. This hereditary directing force frequently manifests as fear. Fear is an emotion. It is consequently not amenable to reason. You may therefore fear your friends as well as your enemies. Fear the present and past as well as the future. If fear attacks you, it must be destroyed. And how can we eliminate fear? With thoughts of courage. Because fear is a thought form. Okay, it's not real. It's something that you're creating within yourself. Okay? Danger. Danger on the other hand, is very real. When you're skydiving, it's pretty dangerous. Even if you have your parachute with a high percentage of chance of it working, it's still a very dangerous thing, because if that parachute doesn't work, then that's a pretty deep fall. Okay, danger is very real. But fear, fear is simply a thought form. It's a part of how you're perceiving that thing which it is happening to you. Whatever you're projecting it to be, however you're bending towards that thing is going to determine how it bends back towards you. You will be interested in knowing how to accomplish this. Reason will not help you at all, because fear is a subconscious thought, a product of the emotions. There must be some other way. The way is to awaken the solar plexus. Get it into action. If you have practiced deep breathing, you can expand the abdomen to the limit. That is the first thing to do. Hold this breath for a second or two. Then, still holding it, draw in more air and carry it to the upper chest, drawing in the abdomen. This effort flushes the face red. Hold this breath also for a second or two, and then, still holding this breath, deflate the chest and expand the abdomen again. Do not exhale this breath at all, but, still holding it, alternately expand the abdomen and chest rapidly, some 4 or 5 times, then exhale. The fear is gone. If the fear does not leave you at once, repeat the process until it does. It will not be long before you are feeling entirely normal. Why? Why is this practice going to produce such results within ourselves? How is it going to help us eliminate this fear that we, are feeling within ourselves? Let's see what it says. He says, because in the first place, this breathing effort, concentrated at the pit of the stomach, affects the great ganglion of the sympathetic nervous system, lying exactly opposite, called the solar plexus, which largely governs circulation. Remember, the solar plexus is the greatest point of distribution of energy throughout the entire body. And if this breathing effort, remember, because breathing brings in, you're breathing in the source of life. It is through breathing. Everything says that through breathing, peace of mind, mental clarity, everything, physical, all of this is centered through breathing. Breathing is very important. Even the Hindus and Buddhists always are talking about the importance of our breathing patterns. And the solar plexus, since it is the greatest point of distribution of energy throughout the body, doing this breathing effort concentrated at the pit of the stomach affects the great ganglion of the sympathetic nervous system lying exactly opposite, called the solar plexus, which largely governs circulation. The stimulation of the solar plexus releases the nerve currents, and the renewed circulation reestablishes the muscular control. You're renewing the energy, vitalizing throughout your body. Kind of like if the energy is making you fearful, you're replacing all of that energy with new and vital energy, because you're completely renewing the energy of the solar plexus. The breath entering through the right nostril creates positive electric-magnetic currents. Okay, now we're talking about, how we were just talking about breathing in the breath of life, okay, and the pranic ether, or pranic energy, and how this energy affects the solar plexus. So he's saying, as we breathe, the breath that is entering our right nostril goes all the way down our spinal column to the solar plexus, creating positive electromagnetic currents within the body, which passes down the right side of the spine, while the breath entering through the left nostril sends negative electromagnetic currents down the left side of the spine to the solar plexus. And these currents are transmitted by way of the nerve centers, or ganglia of the sympathetic nervous system. All force or energy comes from the sun. We may be said to literally live, move, and have our being, in a physical sense, in the sun. This force or energy enters the etheric spleen with every inhalation of the breath. Okay, now remember how he was talking about the spleen, how with the 7 planets and the 7 energies being released and radiated from the 7 planets, and how the sun itself is the main source of energy, and the 7 planets are the 7 rays, or the 7 batteries, which differentiate these rays of the sun into 7 different rays, and those in turn act manifesting its energies upon the earth, which is why we have 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 major sounds, the 7 solfeggio, the original musical scales, that the 7 major sounds of the universe, with the 7 colors of the rainbow, and the 7 planets, and the 7 major nerve ganglion along along our sympathetic nervous system. He says it is through the sympathetic nervous system that the energy and radiation of the planets are able to work through you. And it's very interesting because I also remember when he was going about the principles of, like, the vibrations and energy we're receiving from Venus, and how we have certain metals on this planet because of the vibrations from Venus, and certain plants and colors on this planet from the vibrations of Venus. Like the color yellow. Yellow exists on this planet because of the vibrations coming from Venus. That's how he was saying. And certain tin, the metal tin, is here on this planet simply because it is a manifestation of the vibrations of one of the planets. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. There's still a whole lot to learn about all of this. Okay. So moving on. Okay, and I like going back to what I was saying about the spleen. Okay, the spleen, he was saying, is the point, the body, which, the 7 rays are differentiated to the solar plexus, and the solar plexus in turn goes on to energizing the rest of our entire body through it. Okay. So this force or energy enters the etheric spleen, which every inhalation of the breath, as it enters the spleen, the solar plexus draws it to itself with every exhalation. And from the solar plexus, it travels along the nerves of the sacrum plexus, situated at the extreme end of the spine, and to the cardinal plexus, the core of the brain. These are the 3 main centers of the body. Okay, so there's the solar plexus, the sacrum plexus, and the cardinal plexus. Okay, saying the cardinal plexus being on top, solar plexus being in the middle, behind the stomach, and the sacrum plexus being at the very end of the spine. From the cardinal plexus, this life energy traverses the nerves to the head. Again, on the downward path, it passes through to the psychic center, situated between the eyebrows. Remember, your 3rd eye, known as ajna, your 6th chakra. Then it traverses to the nerves of the face, then the brachial center, the throat front, the pulmonary center, the upper chest and the lungs, the lower lung center, seated above the heart, the vital and generatic center, seated at the base of the stomach, and so this life energy makes the circuit of the nerves until it gradually works its way out through the pores of the skin. You will therefore readily see why this exercise can and does completely eliminate the arch enemy, fear. If you are tired, if you wish to conquer fatigue, stand still wherever you may be, with your feet holding all of your weight. Inhale deeply, raise the body to the tip of the toes, with the hands stretched above the head and the fingers pointed upward. Bring your hands together above the head, inhaling slowly and exhaling violently. Repeat this exercise 3 times. It will only take a minute or 2, and you will feel more refreshed than you would if you took a nap. And in time, you will also be able to overcome the tendency to fatigue. The virtue of this exercise is in the intention. The intention governs the attention. This in turn acts upon the imagination. The imagination is a form of thought, which in turn is mind in motion. Okay, basically everything that he's saying right there. This exercise, okay, you need to do this exercise in practice with the intention of it, that it's actually going to, bring your energies up. It's so funny that we're even reading this part, because I just put a post on my Instagram, and I changed my Instagram name for you guys who are interested. It is now CoreyA94 fitness_yogi. Okay, yogi is simply just someone who practices yoga. Okay, because I made a video of me practicing some yoga, and I was talking about, peace of mind, and how the older I get, the more I realize how, important having peace of mind is, or how much, what is that word I'm looking for? How much value peace of mind actually has in my life now, because there's nothing more soothing than, being not being molested by your own thoughts, that's for sure. Because we learn that thinking is the one great cause of all things. If you're not in harmony within yourself, there is no way you're going to be in harmony with things outside of yourself. So basically meditation, asana practicing, really brings you into that oneness with things and bringing your mind into the now, because the only time is here and now. The past is dead. It was simply a moment of time that only exists in your memory, that exists in one of your brain cells. And the future does not exist yet. It is something that is forever, forever not there. It's something that's there for you to create, and it's up to you to create your future from whatever it is you're thinking now. Because if you can imagine yourself with a better future, then you're going to be able to move into that state of being. When you attract those things into your life as compared to your state of consciousness, it is necessary that those things do change in your life in order to meet with your state of consciousness. As within, so without. As above, so below. It's an old ancient scripture by Hermes Trismegistus. And back to what I was saying, your intentions, you have to intend to clear your mind. You have to intend to raise your energy, because you are then setting your forces into moving in that direction. Okay, and once your intention, your consciousness is moved into that direction, your energies in turn move in that direction in your consciousness. Everything about you will become more energized and more vitalized. Moving on. All thought formations interact upon one another until they come to a state of maturity where they reproduce their kind. This is the law of creation. These are indicated in the characteristics of the individual. If the body is large, the bones heavy, the fingernails thick, the hair coarse, we know that the physical predominates. If the body is slight, the bones small, the fingernails thin and pliable, we know that the mental and spiritual characteristics prevail. Coarse hair indicates materialistic tendencies. Fine hair indicates sensitive and discriminating mental qualities. Straight hair indicates directness of character. Curly hair indicates changefulness and uncertainty in thought. Blue eyes indicate a light, happy, cheerful, active disposition, while gray eyes indicate a cool, calculating, determined disposition. Black eyes indicate a quick, nervous, venturesome disposition, while brown eyes indicate sincerity, energy, and affection. You are, therefore, a complete manifestation of your most inward thoughts. The color of your eyes, the texture of your skin, the quality of your hair, every line and curve of your body are indications of the character of the thought which you habitually entertain. Not only this, but the letters which you write carry not only the message which the words contain, but they are charged with an energy corresponding with the nature of your thought, and therefore often bring a very different message than the one which you had intended to send. And I believe just by that simple thing on how we are really able to understand where Charles F. Haanel is coming from when he, talks about these things. Because not only are we learning and growing through life, but these very words of which Charles F. Haanel has written all this with, he has charged it with his own thought forms. His thought forces have been insered within the words. Like let's say you're messaging something, for example, you're texting somebody, they send you a text, and you're reading it like this way, like sometimes when you really know that person and you know how that person is, you could kind of feel where they're coming from with whatever it is they're writing, as to where you didn't exactly know that person, you didn't know how to, how their energies melded, and you two weren't exactly connected yet, and you're not going to really understand where this person is coming from with whatever it is that they're thinking or messaging or writing to you. Okay, so moving on with the last ones. This is the very last one and we're almost done. And finally, even the clothes with which you wear eventually take on the mental atmosphere which surrounds you, so that the trained psychometrist psychometrist, that's a weird, different word, finds no difficulty in reading the character of those who have worn a garment for any length of time. And now we are ending this lovely chapter with the quote, I believe maybe from Charles, and it is entitled, You, I feel your brow, your hair, you do not know that I am there. Could you but know, O joy sublime, what then were place or space or time? Now that is the end of section 13 on the emotions. And yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for watching my video. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for going over this section with me on the emotions. Remember, the emotions are what we need to vitalize our thoughts, vitalize our thinking, to actually connect with things, to connect with people, to connect with life itself. A lot of people go around trying to suppress their emotions because they think that that's the thing to do, especially around men nowadays, especially the younger generation. You see it a lot in the younger generation. They think they need to suppress their emotions. They think they need to suppress how they're feeling because they think that they need to fit in with all the other kids, all of them are trying to fit in with everybody else, but we weren't born to fit in with things. You're born to stand out. You're born to be different. You're born to do things your own way because you have so many things about you that I don't even have. You have so many things about you, Creator. You can do so many things. You can create something, something that this world needs from you. You can bring that to me, to the person next to you, to your family, to your friends, to the people that really need it in this world. You have that within you to bring that to them. Okay, and with that being said, you guys just know that you are the most powerful thing on this planet. I just want you to know that. You may not be physically the most powerful, but what we have in here, what we have in here, what we were created to be, the image of what we were made as, we can boldly affirm that, hey, I am he, having a human experience. Both of us can. You can. You are a spiritual being. We're all spiritual beings living inside this body. And thinking is one of our great creative processes. Okay, thinking is what's going to allow us to create things in this world. Thinking is the only creative thing that the spirit possesses. And when we think, we're setting our mind in motion, moving ourselves in that direction. There's literally nothing you can't do. You can have, do, and be anything you want and have to be. It's just learning that's true for ourselves. It's just learning that. And with that being said, thank you for watching this entire video with me. And I just want to end. Oh, my legs are a little bit sore. I just want to end this video. The lovely quote, that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And that is by Proverbs 23:7. I know it's a little bit dulled out. It's already been up there for a little over a year. That being said, Creator, I'll see you on the other side of the galaxy.